Today, when we look around us, India's growth is visible everywhere. Infrastructure, manufacturing, digital payments, global companies setting up base here. India is now the fourth largest economy in the world with a GDP of around $4.18 trillion. As Indians, we feel proud of this progress and we should. Now, while India's growth story is well known, India's undervalued growth stories are not. And as investors, this is where we can look at to be part of this growth journey. In this video, we'll break down 5 Indian companies where business growth is strong, but valuations are still reasonable. So stay with me till the end while I walk you through each company one by one. And one more thing. At the end of this video, I'll show you the exact framework we use to shortlist these companies, so you can apply it yourself. Now, before we get into the companies, you'll hear me talking about the PEG of these stocks. So let me quickly tell you what it is and why is it important. PEG is simply PE divided by growth. So it compares how expensive a stock is with how fast the company is growing. In simple terms, a low PEG means you're getting more growth for the price you're paying. And a high PEG means a lot of future growth is already priced in. Now, why does this matter? This matters because for fast-growing companies, traditional PE ratios often make good businesses look expensive, while PEG helps put growth and valuation in the same frame. So now let's get to the companies. Let us start with number 5 on the list. But before I reveal the name, think about how India's energy story has changed. A few years ago, solar meant panels on rooftops. Today, it means expansion, exports, and long-term energy security. India doesn't just want to use solar anymore, it wants to manufacture it at scale. That shift is where Waaree Energies comes in. Waaree is one of the few Indian companies that can make solar modules in very large volumes, not just for India, but for global markets as well. Today, it operates close to 19 gigawatt of capacity, and that's expected to reach around 27 gigawatt by FY26. But scale alone isn't the key point. Waaree already has an order book of nearly 47,000 crore, or about 24 gigawatt of confirmed orders, split between India and exports. So demand is already visible. Now let's talk about valuation. Despite this growth and visibility, Waaree trades at a PEG ratio of about 0.14. Which means a large part of the company's expected growth is still not reflected in the stock price. There's also the next leg of growth. Solar doesn't work all the time, which is why energy storage matters. Waaree plans to invest up to 10,000 crore to build 20 gigawatt hour of battery capacity, which is aligned with India's long-term energy plans. Now add to that PLI scheme incentives or production-linked incentive. It's also part of the approved list of models and manufacturers, which gives it preference in domestic solar projects and import duties on solar modules. And Waaree sits in a strong position as a domestic manufacturer. Of course, risks remain. Technology changes, dependency on global supply chains, intense competition in the solar module manufacturing space, and execution risk on large expansions. But net-net, Waaree combines scale, growth visibility, policy support, and undervaluations, which is why it makes to this list. Now let's move on to number 4. India is adding solar parks, wind farms, and renewable capacity at record speed. But generating power is only half the job. That electricity still needs to be moved safely and efficiently across long distances. That's where GE Vernova T&D India comes in. It's part of GE Vernova, which is a US-based global energy company which is headquartered in the US. But here's the interesting part. GE Vernova India is growing way faster than the foreign parent. This company works in power transmission and distribution, building the infrastructure that carries electricity from where it's generated to where it's actually used. GE Vernova operates in high-end transformers, switchgear, and HVDC systems. These are the areas where execution and technology really matter, and this group has been involved in this area for over 100 years. Right now, the company has an order backlog of around 13,100 crore, which is roughly 2.5 times its annual revenue. That gives strong visibility for the next couple of years. To support this demand, GE Vernova has approved a 806 crore capex plan to expand capacity over the next 3 years. Now let's talk valuation. At current levels, the stock trades at a PEG ratio of around 0.99. This suggests that the company's growth expectations are fairly reflected in the stock price, neither cheap nor stretched. What strengthens the business further is technology. GE Vernova is a leader in HVDC systems alongside other major transmission and distribution players such as Hitachi Energy, Siemens Energy, L&T, and Skipper Limited. But the true competitive advantage with GE is technology. India's push toward 500 gigawatt of non-fossil capacity by 2030 means massive investments in transmission, and GE Vernova sits right in the middle of that trend. There are risks, of course. Competition can increase if Chinese power equipment manufacturers are allowed back into government projects. Pricing pressure in transformers and grid equipment can increase sharply. There's also project concentration risk. The company's growth depends on a few large HVDC projects where delays or execution issues can impact financials. And payment delays from power distribution companies can stretch cash flows. So while the opportunity is strong, execution discipline and policy direction remain critical. Now let's move on to company number 3. This one comes from a completely different sector, pharmaceuticals. The company's name is Lupin. For years, the US pharma market has been tough. Pricing pressure, intense competition, and shrinking margin. Instead of fighting that battle head on, Lupin changed its strategy. The company shifted away from simple oral generics and focused on complex products like inhalation therapies, injectables, and specialty medicines. That shift has made a big difference. Today, Lupin operates at an operating margin of over 27%, a sharp turnaround from just a few years ago. In the US, Lupin now generates more than $1 billion in annual revenue with strong positions in respiratory products like albuterol, where it holds a meaningful market share. At the same time, in India, Lupin is strong in chronic medicines. Europe exposure has increased through the VizU Pharma acquisition, and R&D is focused on complex and high barrier products with multiple complex launches planned in regulated markets by 2028. That said, risks remain. US FDA approvals are critical, and any delay can impact launches. Some recent profit gains are linked to temporary product exclusivity, which will taper off over time. Also, geopolitical tensions and potential tariff action can disrupt supply chains. So, execution matters. But net, Lupin today is a very different company from what it was a few years ago, with stronger margins, a better product mix, and growth that the market may still be underestimating. Now, let's move on to company number 2, a company that sits at the heart of India's financial system, BSE. It started under a banyan tree more than 150 years ago. Today, it's one of India's core market institutions with a market cap of around 1,11,140 crore today. What makes BSE interesting is its business model. Once the trading and clearing infrastructure is in place, every additional trade, listing, or data subscription comes at very little extra cost. That's why BSE operates at operating margins of around 56%. Over the years, BSE has diversified beyond cash equities into derivatives, SME listings, mutual fund platforms, indices, and data services. As more Indians participate in capital markets, BSE benefits quietly in the background. Now, valuation. BSE trades at a PEG ratio of around 0.88, which is attractive for a financial company with strong operating leverage. The risks here are straightforward. Revenues depend on market activity, and regulatory changes can impact pricing, and competition obviously remains. But overall, BSE is a steady beneficiary of India's long term financialization trend, making it a solid number 2 on this list. Now, let's move on to the first and the final company on our list, Cummins India. Most people think it's just an engine company, but that's only half the picture. Cummins is actually a power solutions company which has been operating in India for over 60 years. Its products are used where power failure is not an option. Data centers, factories, railways, airports, hospitals, and defense installations. Whether it's diesel or alternative fuels, the company does not just sell equipment, it delivers end to end solutions, design, manufacturing, technology integration, and after sales support within a single ecosystem. One key advantage came during the shift to stricter emission norms. Many smaller players struggled, but Cummins was already prepared, which strengthened its market position. Now let's talk about growth and valuation. Cummins India trades at a PEG ratio of about 1.43, which suggests that growth expectations are largely priced in, but not excessive. What keeps Cummins relevant going forward is adaptability. The company is actively working on alternative fuels, green hydrogen technologies, and electrolyzer platforms. This means Cummins isn't betting on one energy future, it's preparing for multiple outcomes. Risks remain: pricing pressure, export volatility, and structural shifts like rail electrification can impact certain segments. But net net, Cummins combines scale, execution strength, and future readiness across India's evolving power needs, which is why it tops this list. These are the five high growth, undervalued companies. Now, let me quickly show you how exactly did we shortlist these. So, we used this six filter search query. First, we look for year on year quarterly sales growth above 20%. That tells us the business is clearly expanding. Next, year on year profit growth above 25%. So, we know this growth is actually translating into earnings, not just high revenue. Then we check ROC above 18%, which indicates the company is using its capital efficiently and generating healthy returns. We also keep a filter of market cap above 5,000 crore. This helps us focus only on companies that already have scale and a proven business model. Another important check is improving operating profit margins. Rising margins signal that profitability is strengthening over time, not just sales. And finally, the most critical filter, a PEG ratio below 1.5. So, India's growth story will play out over decades, not quarters. And the market doesn't reward excitement, it rewards discipline and patience. If this framework helped you think differently, tell us in the comments which company stood out to you. And if you found value in this analysis, do like the video, subscribe to this channel, and share it with someone who is serious about long-term investing. Happy Republic Day.
Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.